Welcome to the Fourth and Forever podcast. I'm your host, Josh Kirby, and so today I wanted to start talking about the early morning game. The Jets versus the Broncos. Not much to talk about with the Broncos, honestly. I think Bo Nix played poorly. The defense looks great as it looked all year. I think my biggest issue when it comes to the Broncos team is, I think I've said before, we see the ceiling for Bo Nix. We see that he has limitations. He doesn't use his legs nearly enough. I think he's a very athletic quarterback, and I think running in a Sean Payton type system, it doesn't call for as much running of the football from the quarterback, and it keys him in to throw more than it does to just take off when need be. And I think that's something they have to iron out. And then honestly, I think Payne's got to trust his quarterback a little bit and tell his quarterback it's okay to take those chances. I mean, they were lucky they won a game 13-11 because they were playing against probably the worst team in football. Coming into this season, I said it was going to be the Saints. After week 1, I said it might be the Dolphins. I'm pretty firm on we all know who the worst team in football is. And I'm not going to give them much talk because I'm be honest with you, the team that bad and that poorly coached doesn't deserve a lot of time. Now, I like Aaron Glenn. I think he's a nice guy. He knows defense, but man, I just want to run through the scenario of the second half that really, I think, defined the whole game and defined how poorly the Jets are. So, there's a punt. They're about to punt the ball, give it to the other team. There'd be about a minute, something left on the clock, and they run a fake. They get it, but they barely get it, but they get it. And now, boom, now you got some room to work with. And before I tell you what they do, we've all watched football. We've all been football fans for a good period of time. Some of us watching, some of us maybe newer fans. So let me run through a scenario what I would assume would happen. So you got about a minute left. You got one timeout. You're about midfield, but you still have to get probably 2 first downs to get into potential field goal range, maybe 3, depending on how you trust your kicker. But either way, boom, snap the ball, quick out, Garrett Wilson. Get him out of bounds. That cuts off a couple seconds. Snap the ball, boom, look at sidelines. Anyone open? Not, throw it away, boom. Next play, try to hit the sidelines again, boom, get out of bounds. And you're just going to keep throwing the ball to the sidelines, getting players out of bounds. Now, you got one timeout. So if you can do this a few times, get maybe a first down by doing this, you can take a nice shot to the middle of the field. Maybe get one of your big tight ends involved. Or you got Breece Hall, who's pretty quick, who might be able to get into busted coverage with the linebacker. So send him on maybe a nice drag or a slant route. Boom, hit him in the middle of the field. Call your timeout. Now you maybe have probably 37 seconds, something like that on the clock. Now you can either take a couple shots to the end zone. You can see if you can work the out of bounds again. But at least you know you're in field goal range, and all you do is don't take a sack. I mean, it's pretty rudimentary. Like, I feel like anyone watching football knows how that process goes. I mean, I'm not even a coach, and I already had my 2-minute offense the moment I was like, oh, I know what they're going to do here. But let me read off what the Jets did, because I want to make sure it's accurate. I wrote this down. So the Jets had what? They started, let's see this. Oh, they run the ball on the first play after the fake punt. So now what do you do? Do you take the timeout? Do you let the clock run? They decide, oh, let's run the ball, and then let's no-huddle offense. Well, clearly now you're at second and long with the time clicking. What is one of the best defenses in the league going to do? They're going to apply pressure because Fields isn't a great passer, and they all know in this scenario you are going to pass the football. He gets sacked. The one thing you can't do with one timeout or less in a potential 2-minute drill, I mean, it was 1 minute left, but still, that's a 2-minute drill. They take their timeout. Okay. You have still a little bit of time. You can make something happen. Snaps the ball. Boom. Short pass. Okay, they're not quite to the first down, but they get up there, and then that's it. They let the time run out. Like, were you trying to score? What was the plan here? Did you just not want to give Denver the ball back? Because if you're playing not to lose, you're going to lose. Because most of these teams in the NFL are playing to win. I mean, look at the Saints. They are not a good team, but every week they play to win, and they put up their best effort every week, whether they win or lose. And it may not look pretty, but every week they're putting their best effort to win. If the Jets are playing not to lose, then it's a sorry culture that they're creating there, because that's not a winning unit. It looks bad. It looks really bad, and that sequence alone was just, it was pitiful. I as a fan, as a football fan, I was just it was I after I turned all the game off after that. I literally did not watch the rest of the game. I refused to sit there in my morning and watch that bad of football being played. I just wouldn't do it. Apparently, at the end of the game, they put Fields in a position where he had to do nothing but pass, and clearly he's not a passing from the pocket kind of quarterback. So Jets are just, I don't even know if they'll win a game this season. The best performance they had was Week 1, which gave us some hope. I said not to overreact, and some people overreacted. A lot of people didn't, and they are what they are. It's pretty obvious. So I want to leave it at that. I felt like I had to open with that. That's something that it just irked me so much as a fan of the game, as someone that everyone watching that knew what was the problem, but the people that had to make the decision, it's ridiculous. Poor coaching. Yeah, like, I don't care how many good players you have. I don't care how great, you can't overcome that bad a coaching decision. So I think Aaron Glenn may be a one and done coach unless he can really do something to get this thing turned around quick. But let's move on to the picks for the week. Well, for last week, I went 3-5 for my picks, so I'm still doing that, doing okay. First, I want to talk about the first game that kind of screwed me up. I chose the Eagles over the Giants. I'm not upset. I'm not upset about that pick. I'm not upset that the Giants pulled it out. I've been kind of singing the praises of Jackson Dart here and there. I said that he should have taken over pretty early in the season, and he has. I said I liked him. I told a lot of people close to me that I felt like the Steelers should have taken him. I thought he would have been a very good successor to Rodgers, or even just a good value pick. I think he had what it took to be a franchise quarterback. I think he had enough juice. He had the right mindset. I think his athleticism wasn't spectacular, but clearly we've seen it's more than good enough. He's got a pretty decent arm. Like, he's got, I think, everything you wanted. You just need to be molded properly, and I think the Giants are figuring that out now, that he has all the flashes of a franchise quarterback. Now, it's still an early sample size, so we have to rifle through some of the bad games, because it's going to happen. It's a rookie season. He's going to have some really bad games like he did last week, but then he's going to have games like he did on Thursday where he dominated and he just looked so spectacular. And then shout out to Cam Scatterboo, who was just a steal in, I think, the 4th round. I mean, I liked him in college. I'm sure I've mentioned it before, watching him play in Arizona, especially during the playoffs. He looked like a guy that was just going to add juice, but I just like a lot of people, I was very skeptical of him being a little undersized. His skill of just running people over, it won't translate to the NFL. Well, we all were pretty wrong. He definitely translates very well. He's just a football player. Hands down, there's just some guys in the NFL that, despite size, despite what you think, despite grades, it doesn't matter. They're just football players. I mean, Taysom Hill, Wes Walker, Julian Edelman. Like, these guys are just football players. They're just, no matter where you put them or what they're gonna do, they're going to just go out there and play, because they are just, like I said, they're just football players. They just have that, grit in them. They have that gusto, that juice, and him and Dart have added so much to this Giants team. And I mean, shout out Brian Burns. I'm gonna talk more about Brian Burns a little later, actually, but just like seriously, they look like geniuses now with that move. They were able to go acquire him from the Panthers last year I think last offseason probably, something like that. And he's been in every play this season. He was in the backfield all game against the Eagles. I said the Giants had a team that could win 6, 7 games. This is a team that can win 6, 7 games. Right now, that the team that showed up on Thursday night, they can win 6, 7 games. As for the Eagles, their offense, they need to figure out these offensive woes. They're not getting the balls to the receivers properly. Saquon's running the ball okay in the first half, not well at all in the second half. They're relying heavily on the tush push and short yardage scenarios, which it works. They ran 4 back to back to back to back, which it's not good football. I've talked about it before. Watching stuff like that is kind of ugly football. I don't like it. I'm still very heavy on. I don't think it should be banned because I'm really heavy on. They made a play that is really hard to stop, and someone's got to stop it, and that's the challenge for the defense. But if it gets banned, I will tell you it's because it's an ugly play. Hands down, that's why the NFL is going to try to ban it. But I don't think it should be banned, even though I don't really like the play anymore. And I used to love it. I used to think it was exciting. It's boring. It's bad football. It just isn't what the game is about. It's like nothing in the NFL should be a give me, and that's almost a give me because there's just we don't. Like I said, it's such a weird debate. But I don't want to spend too much time on the tush push. I really want to talk about the coaching aspect of the Eagles. We've seen Sirianni, one of his strengths and weaknesses has been he is not a defense guy. He's not an offensive guy. He has to hire really good coordinators to help elevate his team. He's very much a tone setter in the organization, but his coordinators really, they do the heavy lifting of the schemage and putting players in a position to win. The offensive coordinator just hasn't been doing his job. He's not putting A.J. Brown in positions to win his matchups and get him open. He's not utilizing Saquon well. This offensive line looks really good in pass protection, but has not been as dominant on the run game. Overall, I think the Eagles they need to really establish. This is a team that could fall apart real quick if they can't figure this out. This is not a good loss for them. And this is a rough game. This is a rough loss for them. This is something that could really get this team spiraling, and they could start being like, okay, let's trade away A.J. Brown and see if we can loosen up the locker room a little bit, because that's definitely, and I'm not, first of all, I am not A.J. Brown's hater here. I think they should target him and give him the chances to perform, but I also think that this offense just doesn't, not that they don't need him, but they're not planning for him. So go send him somewhere else where someone could really utilize his skills, because he can be a top 5, top 3 receiver in the league if given the opportunities. But if he can't put the stats to back it up, no one's going to take him seriously. So that's something the Eagles really have to debate. And like I said, I'm on A.J. Brown's side on this. I think he's a spectacular receiver, and I think he's getting really disrespected right now. Next, I want to talk about the Niners-Bucks real quick. Shout out Baker. Baker's my MVP for the season right now. I don't think there's anyone playing at his level right now. His comeback victories. They finally had their first victory formation against a Niners team that is just depleted, but they're still well-coached team, very well-coached team. So it's going to be a tough matchup no matter how depleted that roster is. They're going to come out and play very hard. Ibuka went down with, it looks like, a hamstring. But in the NFL, they're very cautious about hamstrings. The hamstrings can get really bad really fast. They're saying it doesn't seem serious. They're going to have an MRI sometime today. So, yeah, right now it's Monday. It's not even noon yet, so I haven't heard anything about it. But that is something to key into. I know you all know that I'm a huge Ibuka fan. I have him winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. I still think that's going to translate still very well. Hey, even if he misses a week or two, I don't think it's going to hurt him too much or this team. Clearly, this team runs through Baker, and hopefully they'll get Bucky back soon. Godwin can get healthy, and Evans can get back to the field, and they're going to be fine. This is a team that, in the stretch, if they can get healthy and stay healthy and not have injuries corrupt this team, as long as Baker's upright, this is a team that can make it very far. I probably have them as the best team in football right now. I'm dropping my top 10 teams probably later this week after I see the Monday night games tonight, but Yeah, this is a team that probably is the best team in football. They're playing at such a high level, and they deserve all the respect. Now for the Niners, Fred Warner goes down, breaks his ankle, out for the season. My thoughts are with him and his family. That's just devastating for the Niners organization and for him. He's missed one game in his whole career. He's Superman there. He's the Iron Man there. He is everything to that defense, that organization. And I've been watching him his whole career, and he's just a phenomenal player. Watching any player get hurt is devastating because you know how it can change the trajectory of their whole career. Watching a veteran that gives so much to his team each and every year getting hurt, it just is devastating. It just hurts. Whether you're a fan of the Niners or not, you watch him go down and you're like, man, that he deserves better than that. So hopefully he can make a nice, full, speedy recovery. He probably won't return this season, but hopefully he'll be able to come back next season in full form and continue his leaving a phenomenal legacy in the Niners franchise. So don't got too much more to say about that team. Like I said, I had the Bucks to win. Next, I had the Seahawks over the Jaguars. Seahawks, once again, serious team. JSN has emerged as a top 5 receiver in this league right now. He is so dang good. He's a baller. He's got great hands, great routes. His everything about him has come together. Everything we was hoping he would be, he is. That line is holding up very nicely for Darnold. Darnold's putting the ball where it needs to go. Other tight end, A.J. Barner, has been a real key piece of this offense. He's really stepped up, and that's something that no one expected, but has been very valuable for them. He's a good red zone target. And this defense is just flying. This is another team that, like I said last week, I could see Seattle and the Bucks meeting in the playoffs, and I still believe that after this game, they beat a Jaguars team that I still don't know what they are. Is Trevor good? Is Trevor bad? I'm not sure. How impactful has Travis Hunter actually been? Like, I'm not really sure what to do with the Jags. They had such a good win last week against the Chiefs, but it was also a lot of mistakes on the Chiefs' part. I think the Jags, I don't think they're better than the Colts, which is in the division. Are they better than the Texans? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know how to grade this Jaguars team. I think I would grade the Seattle Seahawks with an A. I think they're an AA plus team right now. The Jags maybe a B team. I don't know. It's hard to like. They still have they have a good defense. I like their coaching offensively. I just don't know what Trevor Lawrence is. He's not acting like that elite number 1 pick that he was coming into the NFL. But he's not the worst quarterback in the league. The Jets have that. So I don't know. I thought this was an easy pick. The Seahawks over the Jags. Even though both teams are 4-1, I thought it was an easy. Or Seattle's 4-2. No, they're 4-1. Both teams are 4-1, so I think it was easy. Or Seattle was 4-2, maybe. I know they lost to the Bucks. I think they lost another game, but I can't remember who. But either way, I knew it was going to be a close game, and the Jags couldn't keep up with the Seahawks, and I'm not surprised. And the last 2 teams I want to talk about first, the Bengals and the Packers. So, first, shout out to the Bengals. They traded for Joe Flacco, brought him in. Shout out Joe, playing again. Love it. Love seeing it. He gave this team a little more juice, no turnovers. Having Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they covered the spread. My guess was the Bengals cover the spread and the Packers win. That's what happened. Spread was at 2 touchdowns. They made it a close game. Shout out to the Bengals. I don't know if you can win any games with Flacco, but you will now be competitive, and hopefully with a veteran who's less likely to turn the ball over as long as receivers catch the ball. Because if you notice in Cleveland, his biggest issue wasn't that he was turning the ball over. He threw some bad picks, don't get me wrong, like 1 or 2, but most of them it was bouncing off his hands of his receivers, and there's nothing a quarterback can do about that. You can put the ball in position, but if they don't catch it and the other team grabs it, it's no fault of your own. As for the Packers, they started off the season with a dominant victory over the Lions. They had a good victory over the Commanders. They had a tie with the They had, what was it? No, they had a huge loss, bad loss to the Browns. They had a tie with the Cowboys, and now they have a win that they were definitely the better team. Josh Jacobs is a phenomenal running back. They have Golden has really had his breakout. Last two games has been his breakout. He's emerging as one of the top targets there. They got great receivers. They got a good defense. Jordan Love is playing very well. I just don't know how good this team is. I had them going to the Super Bowl, but I think right now, if you match the Packers up against the Bucks when their receivers are all healthy, or you match them up against the Seahawks, who have a phenomenal defense, how do they match up? I don't think the Packers would beat the Bucks and Seahawks every time. I mean, I think if you put up against either team, I think it'd be 50-50. Maybe give the edge to the Bucks or the Seahawks. I think that's the Packers' problem is they are a playoff team, but how are you going to match up against the other top teams in the league? Because I think you've established you're a top team in the NFC, but what layer of the top teams? Like, you got the Lions, you got the Bucks, you got the Seahawks. I mean, the Lions struggled last night, but I don't think the Lions are a bad team. I think they need to get healthy on the back end and need to get back to their brand of football, which they kind of deviated a little bit last night, and that's the Chiefs can do that to you, which we'll talk about that just in a moment. So the Packers really, I think, have to figure out the rest of their identity going into the rest of the season, and I think a big part of that is keep running it with Josh Jacobs, keep getting that defensive form. You came off a bye week with a win, which is always a good thing. You have extra time to prep, so you should most teams should always win after a bye week. That's kind of like I feel like that should be almost guaranteed. Like you have an extra week of practice, and to watch film and everything on the team you're playing. The other team normally doesn't, so you should get that victory. It was closer than it probably should have been because they are the better team. But anything can happen in the NFL. I think Packers season, they really got to tighten up some strings and really prove how good they are and if they're ready to really compete in the playoffs. And then last, Lions, Chiefs. I had the Lions to win. Lions need to get healthy in the secondary. Kirby Joseph is hurt. Brian Branch, I love Brian Branch, but Dan Campbell said after the game, inexcusable for what he did. He basically went right after Juju Smith. That's going to come with a fine, possible suspension. You're only hurting your team when you make mistakes like that. The game was over. You had no reason to do what you did. Like I said, you're only hurting the team when you make mistakes like that. Because if you're not, the secondary is already depleted and you're already banged up. If you're going to get suspended for a game or two, now this team is really suspect to a potential high-flying offense can come in and pick this team apart. And the Lions have proven, which I think is not good, but it happens to a lot of teams. The Ravens were like this a few years ago. They're a team that isn't made to come back. I think the Ravens proved they could, but when we first were getting Lamar acclimated into the offense, we very much were, let's run, let's play good defense, let's score a lot of points, and it's just going to be too much for the other team to overcome. That's what the Lions do. They're playing very similar brand of football. They're like, hey, we're going to run the ball, we're going to play an attacking defense, and we're going to put up so many points that you can't compete with us. Until you go up against a great coaching staff, a elite quarterback, and a team that is really hungry to prove that they're still one of the top teams in the NFL, and then your game plan gets flipped on its head. Campbell kept saying for the interview, he said you needed 3 plays. You need to make 3 plays to flip the game. They couldn't make those 3 plays. They couldn't make those game-defining moments. Mahomes was really having his way with the DBs, which is what's going to happen when you're playing. I mean, there was like 5 of their top DBs are out. So they're playing with all backups. They're playing with people that most of the time probably weren't even on this team going into the season. That's really hard to overcome. This Lions team, I'm not going to fault them too much for it. I think they're still a really good team. I think it's a team that, like, I think when the announcers said, if this is a team that can get healthy on secondary, they can be a very scary team going down the stretch and entering the playoffs, and I do believe that. But their offense is built on running the ball first and setting up the pass, and I mean running it a lot. That's what they like to do. If they fall behind and have to primarily pass, it makes the team way more one-dimensional. And it's not that Goff can't do it. We've seen he's a very proficient passer, and they can do it. But this is not what that team's built to do. This team is built to run, lean on their defense a little bit, and then go to the passing when need be, not make it the most reliable in the system. So I think the Lions will be okay. They'll figure it out. But Chiefs are getting hot. Chiefs are really getting hot. They had a nice dominant win over the Ravens to get them back to form. They had a iffiness with the Jags, but they cleaned up a lot of stuff against the Lions. Penalties were down, which were really high. No turnovers, really good. That a lot of the stuff they were doing wrong in their losses, they're really cleaning up, and Rice is coming back in a few weeks. This is a team that I told you, if they get hot, it is scary, and it's very. You're seeing it now. You're seeing the little sparks come in, and it's like the Chargers should worry. They're a team that's banged up. I mean, this is the Broncos. They're a really good team. They have an easy schedule in the stretch, but they can't afford losing to the Chiefs. If those three teams are competing for this division, and a hot Chiefs team, which I think clearly the best coaching staff out of the three units, and it's just more so not saying that Sean Payton and Harbaugh isn't as good as Andy Reid, which they're not because Andy Reid has the pedigree. But when you have a unit that's been together a couple years, that have the experience, that have the pedigree, that have the benefit, that get the benefit of the doubt more often than not, they're the team you bet on. Now, those, like I said, those are my picks. Those 3 for 5, but that transitions into my little bit nugget about the Chargers. I don't really care about talking about the Dolphins. They're a dysfunctional organization. I think Mike is losing his job after the season, and Tua should be lucky if he keeps his job after a terrible performance. And the game shouldn't have been close with how bad he was playing, but the Chargers are just so banged up. But Herbert put on his superhero cape and said, let's go do it. And he put them in. That throw to the lad was one of the best plays of the whole weekend, maybe the whole season. That was amazing. Put them in the great position to win the game. Incredible. Chargers should every day be thankful that Tua was taken before Herbert, so they got Herbert, and be even more thankful that Harbaugh won a national championship with Michigan, and he was very happy to come back to the NFL and coach your team, because you would not have won that game if it wasn't for Herbert and Harbaugh. There's just no way. This is a bruised up, banged up, battered team that are going to take some losses on the season because of injuries. They are less likely, I think, in my opinion, to win this division. I think that it's hard with the Chiefs getting healthy and getting rolling, and this team seems just so banged up. But if the Chargers need to get healthy to compete. But at the end of the day, when you have Justin Herbert, if you make the playoffs, you got a lot of hope. You got a lot more hope than other teams. And speaking of hope, the New England Patriots should have a lot of hope. So I wrote this down. I just want to make this clear. Drake May has, in his last 5 games, has thrown for over 200 yards and has had a quarterback rating of over 100. He joins an elite list of like 4 guys that ever do that. I'm pretty sure Mahomes and Marino on that list. It's insane. What he's doing right now is showing flashes of top 5 quarterbackness. Like, he's really showing that he is putting this team. I mean, it's not even that he's just the stats. Like, it's the visual test you're seeing. The deep balls down the field to Keyshawn Boutte. The short dump offs to the running backs, and the quick outs, the vision, the reads, everything. He looks so in command of this offense, and I have to say, I'll give so much credit to the coaching staff, specifically Josh McDaniels. It's something that we've seen Josh McDaniels do in his time as an OC. He made Mac Jones very confident in the Patriots offense, and when he was there early with Mac, he always was able to really make it more simple, but yet in such a complicated offense, and make it so simple that Brady was able to excel to the highest of heights in it. And now you're seeing it with Drake May, where he's able to give him a really complicated playbook, but also simplify at the same time, where May doesn't look like he's questioning himself. He looks like he's just boom, making a decision, boom, making a decision. He sees something, he's like, bro, I'm just gonna do that. In the game, he had a he looked shovel pass, boom, right over the lineman to the running back. Quick decision. A lot of quarterbacks in that position. Last year, he would have probably scrambled a little more and either threw the ball away or took a sack. It's those type of things that you see that you're like, wow, he's really figuring it out. So I mean, I wanted to give Drake May a real shout out. What they play, I don't even remember who they played, but they were better. They're just a great team. This is a really good team that honestly, they seem like a playoff team right now. I still think they should go make a big trade for another big name wide receiver, but I don't know if they need one. I think Keyshawn Booty's and Pop Douglas, I mean, they're not studs, but they're being very serviceable. And I think everyone on this team is performing a little better, feeling that they have the quarterback of the future. And that does so much for an offense and so much for a team. When you have faith in the guy that's leading the charge, you can do amazing things. So I originally had the Patriots in the playoffs, and I know a couple videos I've been kind of bullish on them, thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm a year early. May is coming to form. Vrabel's making the difference. This is a playoff team, and the AFC, they could win a playoff game. Now let's talk about Ravens. This is kind of the Ravens. How I'm going to end the podcast because I haven't focused on them as heavily. I've had some inspiring speeches and stuff, but I will say flat out, the pride of this organization showed in full on Sunday. We weren't good. I mean, at least defensively. Offensively, we had some bad moments. Zay had 2 fumbles. Gotta clean that up. Cooper Rush, he should never have started. Huntley, once he came in, it would look like a different team, looked like a better team. That was a mistake signing Rush. It was a mistake playing Rush. He won't be on the team next year. I'd be surprised if he makes it past the bye week. I think Huntley is clearly should be our backup quarterback. I think just the style of our offense runs better with a more mobile, athletic quarterback. I don't know why we were trying to bring in a quarterback that wasn't in our scheme and thought we could compete. He was terrible. I'm sorry, Rush. I liked the signing, but now that I saw the evidence, I'm backtracking. I don't like the signing. We should have just ran Huntley out there from the beginning. Run game, Henry finally to form. I love that. I think this team is what I've been talking about all the last few weeks. This is a team that can really get hot late. Henry's looks like he's churning again. This defense getting some piece. Humphrey was back. Wiggins was back. Hamilton was back. And they were all making plays the whole game. So now we got to keep getting that form. Get Rowe back probably after the bye. We'll get Lamar after the bye. And I think that will flip this team on its head. And we go from a 1-5 team to a team that is about to start knocking out victories. Our schedule eases up. Our quality of quarterback play will lessen. That we go against will lessen. And our quarterback play will greatly increase when Lamar comes back. So I look very forward to our team. Before I talk more about our team, I'll talk about the Rams. Puka went down with an injury, ankle injury. That I think helped us a lot. Puka was just cooking us. Best receiver on the field. Best player probably on the field. He was looking great. I hope he makes a good recovery. Once again, they haven't really mentioned how serious it is. Hopefully it's not season ending because he was on pace to have such a phenomenal season. So hopefully, like I said with Fred Warren, thoughts to him and his family, and hope he makes a speedy recovery and hope it's not too bad. Stafford looked good, not great. The run game was okay. I think in a defense, this defense came in and had a lot to play for and had a lot of pride. And but even though we don't have all of our pieces, the Rams should have cooked us a little more. We're a team that was letting up the most points, the most yardage, and the Rams only put 17 on us, which as a Ravens fan, I'm happy about. But if you were hyped for the Rams, you should be disappointed. Very disappointed in their performance. They lost a bad game to the Niners. They lose this game. It's their team that I told you coming into the season, I wouldn't be surprised if the team went 9-8, or if they won their division. Either way, I wouldn't be surprised. But this team right now is looking more like that 9-8 team that I predicted. And that's not good for them. That's not going. They're not going to make the playoffs at 9-8. Not right now with how the NFC is stacking up. They really need to figure out. Maybe they have to go trade for. They have to go. They have to figure this offensive line out a little bit. I will say though, their defense. That guy, Jared Verse. I liked Verse a lot last season. I haven't got a chance to really talk about him much on the pod, but I'm a huge Jared Verse guy. He's a gamer. He's a game wrecker. He's a game changer. Get him another full this season. Next year, he may be the best defensive player in the league. He's so good. He's in on every play. He's quick. He's strong. He's fast. He's going to have a similar effect to Aaron Donald, even though the play style is a little different. He's more of a true rusher, while Donald was more so holding down the middle. But either way, this guy is going to be a game changer for this team, and he's going to be on this team for a long time, causing a lot of problems for a lot of offenses. So the Rams really need to figure a lot of things out because they have a lot of good key up components. But long term, they have to figure this out because the Niners, even though they lost today, they're going to be a hard out. And Seattle's playing great football right now. But back to the Ravens. How I wanted to end this episode. This kind of quick episode. I like just one more thought. This Sunday was just not it. It was a lot of boring games, a lot of bad matchups, a lot of bad football. I mean, the Raiders-Titans game was awful. You just watch that game, you're like, wow, this is bad football. The Steelers killed the Browns. Not an exciting game. Injuries here and there. I think a lot of bad football. I mean, the Colts won. I didn't even mention them, and they're right now would be the number one seed of the AFC if playoffs started tomorrow. So I don't know. It's just I don't want to. It was a rough Sunday. I think the best game of the night was probably the night game, and that game got away from the Lions quick. And I think I enjoyed the Packers-Bengals game, but that's because I had money on the game. And shout out the Packers for helping me secure my parlay. But either way, it was. I don't think there was. If it wasn't for me betting on some of these games this Sunday, it would have been or having fantasy players, it would have been a very underwhelming Sunday. I think a lot of even the games that were close, you're like, oh, this is some ugly football at times. What's going on? I don't know. I don't think it was the best Sunday of this year. I think so far this season, I think there's been a lot of better weeks in the NFL. This was more of a down week. But with that being said, the trade deadline is coming up, and there's been a lot of reports that a lot of teams are looking to improve their rosters. I mean, this is how you turn bad football sometimes into good football. It's how you turn okay teams to better teams or good teams to great teams. It's going to make a splash trade. Now, I wrote this list down. I wrote 5 players down that I think the Ravens should go potentially trade for. And I think these are 5 guys that, no particular order I have them in, but these 5 guys would be very impactful players. Because I think even when everyone comes back, I still don't think we have a dominant pass rush. Or I think the Lions improved a little bit with Travis Jones out there and John Jenkins or John Jones or what that one lineman from I think the Saints that we got. He made a really good fumble recovery and good play. He's doing okay for us. Broderick Washington will come back, so the D-line will be helped a little bit. But I still think we need him to go make a splash trade to really help get this team really compete on the stretch. We need to win out, and if we don't have a pass rush, it's just not going to happen. So I'm going to run through the list, the pros and cons of the guys I've set up, and that's how we're going to end the video because it's something like I said, I made this a few weeks ago, so hopefully it's still going to be very relevant to today. So first on my list, I think my number one guy that I want to bring to the Ravens is Max Crosby. The pros for bringing in Max Crosby is he's still not that old. He has a lot of grit. He's a very dominant, quick pass rusher, and he's on a very bad team. The cons of Max is he's going to be a little more expensive, maybe the most expensive of any of these guys we could possibly bring in. And his loyalty to the Raiders is so strong. A dying organization right now that has a bad quarterback. They won, but they didn't win because they were the better team. They won because they weren't the worst team. And that's not how you want to win a football game. You don't want to be the better of two terrible teams. Like, I mean, you do, but you don't. Because, like, at the end of the day, if you win one more game against the Titans, all that means is the Titans are getting a better draft pick than you. It's not like your season's going anywhere. And if you're running with 9 interception Smith, it's not going anywhere. So, plain and simple, that's that. I think Crosby would be he's been one of the best defensive players in the league. Patrick Mahomes calls him the best defensive player in the league. He would be a game changer for our defense. That would be a dominant pass rusher that will give so much energy to our secondary. It'd be insane. Next on the list, I put Quinnen Williams. I'm pretty sure he's healthy. I didn't check on it because I haven't heard much. I've watched a lot of Jets football, so I'm pretty sure he's healthy. But if he's not, well, my bad. But either way, I think he's healthy. His big pro is he's a big boy in the center of our defense, and we can really build the line around him. Something that we can keep him as a one-year rental when Beaks come back, or maybe if Beaks, this is his career, we can have Quinnen for a couple years mentoring some of our young defensive linemen. I know the Jets may not want to give him up, but he's a little more expensive for them. Jets clearly aren't going to win a game. This is a guy that I think would really enjoy coming into a new culture, and I think he would fit very well in our culture. I think the biggest cons is, like I said, he'd probably be a one-year rental, so we may not be able to keep him long-term. And he is a little older. He has a little more mileage to him, so that can be a slight downside. Number 3 is a guy that, like I said, I made this a few weeks ago, and he's only been more spectacular since, is Brian Burns. I think the likelihood of us getting him has very drastically dropped after the dominant victories they just had over the Eagles, especially with Jackson Dart and Scatterbo playing so well. I think it would be really poor of the Giants to make a decision to trade away a guy like Brian Burns to us. But I would, hey, if we had to, I know, don't hurt me on this, but if we had to send them a couple picks, pick up the contract, send them Mark Andrews, I would be okay with it. Because they have a plethora of pass rushers and really good defensive linemen. We do not. And he would be a game changer. He's proven already this season that he's a game changer. Now, we don't have his number. Rowe has a 0 and his 53 that he wore in Carolina is Van Noy's number. So he'd have to find a new number. But we'll find him a number. If we give him the best number, we can find him. We'll do it. Because he would, I think, really would be a difference maker on that deep defensive line. I mean, you saw him in the last game against the Eagles. He was all over the field. I talked about it earlier. He was all over the field. Like I said, the pros of this, the NFC would be more willing to trade probably with the AFC. He could still play at a high level, and he really has been the edge rusher we've been missing. More the cons are that he's going to cost more money in picks. He might cost more in picks than money, but either way, he's going to cost. Him and Max will probably cost the most heftiness, which is going to be a problem. And like I said, with Dart looking good and Scatterbo playing well in this offense kind of getting rolling, this defense kind of coming into form, this is a team that has a little more hope than they did a couple weeks ago. It's unlikely they'll send him our way, but I would love to see Brian Burns in the black, gold, and purple. I'm telling you. Next, speaking of black and gold, Cam Jordan with the Saints. Now, I've never been a huge Cam Jordan fan, but I think based on age, based on price, based on he's on a losing team, based on he doesn't have many years left, but he still can perform, he would be a huge addition to our team. Now, he's a guy that would be a one-year rental because there wouldn't be a reason to keep him longer. We're bringing him in to win a Super Bowl, and that's point-blank period. But the pros are he's a proven vet. He can still play. He's a little better at pass rushing than run stuffing. But what we really need is a pass rusher more than anything. I think our big boys, once Washington gets healthy, we have 3 good big boys on the front that, as they get some more reps underneath them, will be okay stopping the run. We looked a lot better stopping the run this week than we have in the last few weeks. But he would really give us a little more veteran presence on the edge, someone that these linemen actually have to play against a little more. His biggest con is he is a little older. He is over that 30 mark. I think he's close to like 32, 33, 34 maybe. So he's definitely on that near the end of his career. And he's only played with the Saints his whole career. So similar to Crosby, it's the loyalty that we'd really have to test. Is he willing to say, sorry, Saints, I want to go win a Super Bowl I want to go win and get that Super Bowl before my time is up. I'm pretty sure he was on the Super Bowl team with the Saints when Drew Brees went. 50-50 on that. But either way, for his legacy, coming to a Super Bowl winning team, or a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, other than the Saints, that they do not have Super Bowl aspirations this year, probably not next year, probably not the year before, it would be really, I think, beneficial for his legacy, and I think it may be hard for him to leave, but I think he would blend very well into the Baltimore culture, and I would welcome him with open arms, even though I've never been a huge Cam Jordan fan. And last on the list is probably the most inexpensive of the bunch, but I think could still have the same impact, and it's Bradley Chubb from the Dolphins. Now, Bradley Chubb was drafted by the Broncos, and he was a pretty decent pass rusher there, and he got traded to the Dolphins. His biggest issue is injuries have derailed him most of his career from being that studded pass rusher that he was supposed to be. His pros easily, like I said, if he'd be the cheapest, we wouldn't have to send as much to trade for him. We could probably send a couple picks and pick up his contract. He's not that expensive. I think overall we could sign him for a 2-year deal, or we could have him as a 1-year rental. We have more options with him over all the other guys, but he has made some plays this season, and if he stays healthy, he could be a real impactful player. But like I said on the cons, injuries. If he gets injured, it's a waste of a trade. We look stupid. We look foolish going after him. He could just not perform. He could come here and just not work in our system. But either way, I think maybe just as a fan, I want to see us go try something. And I think bringing in 2 safeties didn't show we tried anything. I like Gilman, but I don't love Gilman. I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson, when he plays, he's a dog. But we didn't need safeties. We needed a pass rusher, and we still need a pass rusher. So I really, really, really think bringing in one of these guys would be the best hope of our defense and would get things going. Because I don't think we need help on offense. I think our offense just needs Lamar to tighten everything up and play with a little more energy and fire. But our defense needs that pass rusher. And I've been saying it all. I said it last year. I've said it all season so far. And if we don't get that dominant pass rusher, I mean, by trading away Oweh, we freed up a little bit in the cap. If we throw Mark Andrews in a trade package, which we might do, like I said, I would be sad if Mark left, but also on the same field, he's older and maybe we don't need him as much as we did. But we'll see what we have to throw together for a trade package to get a good pass rusher. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm just going to go through it one more time on 5 guys I think we should look out for. It's Max Crosby, Quinnen Williams, Brian Burns, Cam Jordan, and Bradley Chubb. And anyone watching this video, please put your impact on them. Hell, tell me in the comments which one you would like to see the most in black and purple. I know I would love to hear from all of y'all. Like I said, it was kind of a boring Sunday, so this is probably the end of the video, but it's been great talking football, and hopefully, like I always say, thank you for letting me be part of your day. Everyone, by the time I drop this video, Monday Night Football will already have happened, so I'll be able to talk about that at some point this week. I'll still got to drop my picks and top 10 teams. We'll figure that out. But yeah, please like, subscribe, comment, give me your feedback, and like I always said, I love doing this. I'm so glad I get to be a part of everyone's day, and most importantly, thank you.